Come on, man.
Need some bad.
Go.
Go. Where is it, man? Where is it? I ain't going off the roof. Check my drugs, man. Check my drugs.
Hey, man. He's playing hard. Come on, man.
All right.
All right. Come on, man. Yeah, it's off the roof, man.
All right. I'm gonna die.
What are you doing up here?
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to find my stash, man.
Your stash? What are you talking about, your stash? No, that's your stash over here. Your stash. Hey!
Yeah.
Hey! Come here! Hey!
You want to move over to that one?
Tim. Moose, yeah.
Okay.
Moose.
I posted
Tim.
a link to that thing with Eugene last week, so it was like
Crazy.
Music Buzz Live. We're back here in Studio A.
Here we are.
And it's time for Pod Talk.
For hashtag Pod Talk. Hell yeah. Very cool. We're very excited. We always try to keep up and up on the whole pot industry. Being here in Denver, we're always kind of in the pinnacle part of things. And tonight we have Frank from Colorado Green Lab, coloradogreenlab.com. If you guys have tuned in before, you might recognize Frank. Yeah, he was here before and talked a lot about how he's the scientist. He's the mad scientist in the whole cannabis industry. So how's things going over there at the lab, man?
there's more than one mad scientist in the cannabis industry.
I'm sure you kind of have to.
You've got to be the top one, though, right?
I'm pretty good.
Considering this is the first time for him to be out of the lab, like with it for like what, a week or two now?
Yeah, I thought it was still July until I realized football was on.
We're gonna have you pull the mic up a little, right into the mic, if you don't mind. There.
I thought it was still July, but then I realized football was on, and that it was actually October. That's how often I leave the lab.
It is starting to get a little cold out there. Right? If you break outside for a break every now and then, you know. So what's going on? What are you working on these days?
Interesting stuff.
He was just telling me actually before we came on, we were talking a little bit in the green room, and you were just doing a test on a place that shall remain nameless, some of their medicine, and you found a mutant something. It was a mutant though.
This is one of those weird law of unintended consequences. Powdery mildew is a problem, cannabis growing, no matter how good you are, whatever. Since rec started, I think we started noticing about 6 months ago, multi-drug resistant powdery mildew.
Wow.
That's fucking crazy, dude, right?
Yeah.
I've definitely been into some grows, seen some home grows, stuff like that. A lot of our watchers are actually growing themselves, and they'll see the powdery. It's almost like a sugar, almost looking sort of salty sort of thing that'll get on the leaves and stuff. Kind of makes it look horrible anyway. Yeah. But this is like an extra phase on top of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a weird bug. It infects hemp, obviously. Actually, that makes sense, and it affects hops too. And it basically goes in, it punches a hole in the leaf, and it drains the life out of it. It's called a necrotrophic, a dead-eating or whatever, fungus.
Right.
Since rec started, people are using a whole array of fungicides.
Right.
So kind of like with, like MRSA, like antibiotic-resistant bacteria, You use enough of that on those things, they'll just be like, "Fuck you."
Right.
Yeah, right.
For sure. And this is definitely like a pretty hot topic within the industry right now.
Yeah.
About, I think it was like less than a month ago, a bunch of the meds went through and found that there was a lot of people within Denver that had been using pesticides that weren't approved. Basically, like Eagle, what is it, Eagle 7 or 10 or something?
Eagle 20 is one of them.
There you go, Eagle
Yeah.
20. Dude, I'm a stoner. I don't remember numbers.
I think the one a month ago was like spinosad or something like that. I think that's another fungicide.
I imagine you ran into a lot of shit, huh?
Yeah. It's still a new market. Like, with some of the rules have actually constantly changed on that. So, I mean, I think one of the growers who was busted or quarantined by Denver last month pointed out fairly that it was actually from a label batch that they had from 3 months ago when that chemical was still okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they got busted for something and they're like, look, we order labels by the batch, But yeah, no, people are still using a bunch of stuff because particularly this type of powdery mildew, it gets in there and it crawls all over everything. I've never seen anything grow this fast.
And does it actually get onto the bud itself and affect the bud?
Typically, no. This is one like it's a powdery mildew is actually a disease caused by like 5 different types of organisms. What they really want to do is crawl on the leaf, punch a hole in it, and drain the life out of it.
Huh. Succubus.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of females. No, I'm sure.
I was in the lab today taking pictures of it, and I was like looking at it. There's like normal, and then you see this one downwind, or there's this spike sticking through the leaf, and it's like,
Wow.
Huh.
That's so crazy, dude. I know that it's been a hot topic. I ran into someone that used to work at a shall remain nameless dispensary in town, and they had found a bunch of organisms and whatnot on it. They actually sprayed the hell out of it with something that's not good, like the Eagle 20 or something.
Yeah.
And it was so saturated within the plant that they couldn't really like get it off. So they took the plants once they harvested them and took them over to one of the guys' pools at home and like dunked it and like washed it and just like tried to wash it off, and then they sold the shit.
What?
Yeah.
And it had been dunked in chlorinated water?
Yes.
I mean, I imagine the chlorine might kill some of the fungus, but that's
ballsy.
Wouldn't that kind of ruin the smell?
That would definitely not do good.
what did they call that strain when they sold it?
Something
They called it
guy.
the Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Oh, shit!
Oh! Zinger! No.
Yeah, but no, it's a relevant point. Like, a lot of unintended consequences. I think people should grow marijuana organically just because people are going to smoke it. But if every fungus becomes immune to every pesticide, they'll have to grow organically.
Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of like the antibiotics in the medical world now.
right.
You get all these super bugs and people can't fight them.
Oh yeah, and this thing like okay, so antibiotics, like if your bacteria is immune to penicillin, it's actually immune to all the cillins because they're actually all related.
Right.
Same thing with this one. We've seen that it's immune to miclobutanol, Eagle 20.
Uh-huh.
There's like 30 other in that class. It's actually immune to all of them because they all have like kind of the same basic function. So it's nature's got a hilarious sense of humor.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, how would someone that's just coming by, grabbing some bud, how would they know just in smoking it? Have you ran into cases like immediately they know that it's not good?
Someone told me this, and it's anecdotal, but it makes sense. He was certainly after like the whole pesticide thing back in May, and he's like, he was smoking some shatter, and he's like, is it supposed to make me feel like somebody threw ground glass down my throat? And I was like, no.
Totally.
I was like, that probably wasn't good.
I have had folks come into to Colorado Harvest Company when I've helped them out, and they've been like, I had to come over to your place because every time I've gotten it from you guys, it's been good, but I went over somewhere else and I smoked it and it felt like I had lava in my throat.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, and then on top of it, I tried to explain it to this other older lady that was very paranoid about it, because you never know with that stuff. And I basically explained like you shouldn't have a burning sensation in your throat. Sometimes you'll cough and you'll cough yourself into a headache, but if you smoke something and you're naturally feeling good and all of a sudden you get a headache also, that's another sign that I've ran into.
People ask me about this because pesticide testing still isn't required in Denver. It's actually not required in Colorado yet. One thing that occurred to me the other day, I just told somebody to do this. This is not my scientific opinion, but it makes sense. If somebody's selling you unbelievably inexpensive, like, cannabis products, it's either magic, sorcery, or they've cut their costs somewhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of just like, I mean, I pay $10 for a 6-pack of really good microbrew beer.
Right.
Like, just look at it. It's like, if you're paying more for a product, there's obviously more care put into it. There's probably a reason.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree a lot. I mean, I being in the business, I know the Colorado Harvest Company has a huge sale only because of excess weight. I think the excess weight would be the only other reason. But I think that it just sucks when you go to try to get something and you think you're getting a good deal. You get it home and you feel like shit. I mean, you got to start worrying about. Have you heard any long-term effects for having to do this? Like, I know how everybody's tripping about the immediate right now, but I can only imagine if they weren't to regulate it right now, what the population would be like.
It's I was trying to think of a good example when somebody asked me about this question. I think it's unprecedented in recent history for consumers to be exposed with no protection on this at all.
Right.
The last closest thing I could think of is, remember when there was all that baby formula getting sent from China and had like melamine or something in it, but they caught it and then it didn't go on. Like, but in this case, it's not. It's just ongoing.
Right.
So, I mean, I hope the industry as it evolves kind of will realize, I mean, if all these fungi become immune to this stuff anyway, you just got to develop better grow practices.
Right.
The only way to avoid this is to not get this fungus in the first place.
Yeah, be cleaner.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. I mean, the thing that I've always talked about when it comes to Denver is that we had 4 or 5 years of medical, so we could kind of work our way to a point that we're at right now. And I think that one of the hardships that Oregon and Washington are running into is that they just jumped headfirst into recreational. And I don't know if, I don't study up on them as much as I need to, but I don't know if they have any regulations like we have, which is one of the reasons why Denver's cool as hell. And I'm worried. I wanted to get your opinion. When you have something like Canada and Croatia both this week actually, legalized or are basically on the way to just legalizing recreationally. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They got a new liberal president of Canada and all this stuff, and he's ready to get going. What do you think as far as all of that marijuana just hitting recreationally and just being, it's almost, plague-like,
I think it's going to go two different directions, or at least it seems to be. Washington has more regulations than we do, but it's not as easy to get marijuana there.
Right.
They basically go through this whole process. Someone's producing it, then someone's selling it, and they kind of keep them like all separate. They do a lot of safety testing, but my friends in Seattle complain they can't get weed. They can't find it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Whereas, so there's gonna be give and take. I think if people go the Washington route, okay, they now have a completely regulated industry, but people are going to be annoyed they can't get marijuana.
Right.
Yeah.
You go another route.
Shortages and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So on the other hand, like with Colorado, you can get it anywhere, and I think we're slowly tightening down on like what matters in terms of regulations.
Right.
Somebody asked me the other day what we shouldn't be doing. Like, okay, product labeling, about putting red stop signs on like edibles.
Right.
That will do, in my opinion, nothing for product safety.
Without a doubt. I'm with you on that. I don't think putting a little stamp on it, I mean, they already have them down to 10 milligram doses anyway. Putting a little stamp on it's not going to be any different. But when it comes to making sure that it's clean, that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, my point is that I wish we were spending more energy toward practical safety measures and not that. There's now so much labeling on marijuana products that I'm like, have to squint and be like, all right, like...
it's like you just want to smoke the goddamn weed.
Right.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be so goddamn complicated either,
Goddamn.
It goes back to prohibition, though. There were so many regulations like, cannabis got to be illegal. Like, all those same people who were still obsessed with rules then are obsessed with rules now. That prohibiting marijuana in the first place didn't stop people from growing or smoking marijuana.
Right.
putting a bunch of extra writing and rules on the back of a package will not make people follow those rules or read them or
right
or other things. So
for sure, but if you want to benefit society, make sure that the shit that we're putting out there has been tested.
Oh, yeah. I think that they should be spending more. They should have more focus on that. But
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got to cut it there. But thank you so much for coming down, man.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate the conversation.
ColoradoGreenLab.com. Go check them out. They do testing here in Denver for a bunch of different reasons. Really reasonable prices. So,
Colorado Green Labs. Make sure what you're smoking is safe. This is Music Buzz Live. We will be back in just a few moments.